you should buy stuff now, even though it's at 6%, because when it does go back to 4, I mean, there won't be anything available. If you're 25 years old and you don't have children, it's a great opportunity to go start buying real estate. I kind of use the reference of like when you're 25 years old, you know, a couple of these guys I've talked to, they're not married. They either own their own home or whatever, they rent a home. But I'm like, if you're 25 years old and you don't have children, a significant other or whatever, it's a great opportunity to go start buying real estate, right? Because even if you're upside down a couple $100 a month, if you finance it, if you're upside down a couple $100, you can make that up pretty easily. And it's better to do it now before you're 30 or 35 and you have a kid or 2 or 3 and a mortgage. Because then, you know, you'll never have excess cash to do it. So, I mean, that's why I said I wish, you know, 35 years ago, if I'd go back, I mean, that's the first thing I'd start doing.
Do you know about the multifamily change with FHA?
No.
So, you know, FHA loan, 3.5% down.
Yep.
Back when I was buying my first house, 2016, this wasn't, it was only for single families.
Okay.
Now the FHA extends to 2 to 4 unit residential multifamily. Right? So you can put 3.5% down on a quadplex.
But you have to live there?
You got to live there. But that you made
But still, even to the point, like, I mean, take the 25-year-old kid.
Yep.
I mean,
that's what made me think of it.
What a great idea, right?
Yeah.
To live in a place that you could live in one of the 4 units. I mean, it's genius.
Because I've done that in the past year. I've helped 5 or 6 clients that are in that 20 to 30 age range. And they're almost always, it's always the same. It's usually a dude. Yeah, and it's like, it's somebody who is like, you know, not married, doesn't have kids. Right. And I'm like, you know, I don't think my wife would let me do this, but if I were in your position, like, this is exactly what I'd be doing.
I mean, you know, I don't know how long you have to live there under the FHA, but yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great way to get started with little money down.
Yeah.
The other thing,
then you just move out, right?
Well, that's the question. I don't know how that works.
I think it's exactly. Because I think
you can live anywhere for a year.
Yeah, I think it's a year, and I think they're not, you know, they don't care after that if you move out and rent the unit. And then the other thing is, I think I will get it wrong, so I'm not going to say it, but there's a certain amount of time where you could do the FHA again.
Sure.
So it's actually a thing where you can rinse and repeat. And just keep.
Look, there's so many opportunities if you've got time and you know you're willing to surf the internet and do it. I mean, there's I watch all this stuff on Instagram. You know, I follow everybody. You know, and I'm just amazed on how smart people are and how they get to do certain things. You know, I mean, it's brilliant. I'm not that smart, so I haven't understood how to do all the things, and you know, my whole big thing was I really didn't want to finance homes when we were buying them. Because I said, hey, I'm 50 some years old, right? So I don't want to owe people money. And again, if I look back, you know, when interest rates were 5 years ago,
free money.
Now we have a little mortgage on one of them because it was a 2%er. You know, and it's like, man, you know, that's when we should have been buying everything we could buy at 2%.
Hindsight's always 20/20.
It is. But again, you know, like I mean, I told my partner, I said, look, if interest rates were to go down again, you know, even though I'm 5 or 6 years older, I'll do it. I'll finance. We can do whatever you want to do because it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think when you get to a certain point, if you own, you know, 10, 15, or 20 units, you got to look at them. Like I look at everything individually on a P&L, right? Yeah. Every unit. But if you have 15 or 20 units, it doesn't really matter. Like, so if you finance 10 of them and 10 of them you own free and clear, you look at it as a portfolio of 20. You don't look at them individually. And so I don't know if the interest rates will get back to 2, 3, or 4%. I think they will eventually. But then, I remember you were one of the first realtors that always would say to me, you should buy stuff now, even though it's at 6%, because when it does go back to 4, I mean, there won't be anything available. And I believe that.
Yeah.
Because look, this market has changed again from starting, 7 years ago to today. I mean, you just can't do the same things. It's hard. It's hard to find a $50,000 house to buy. It's hard to find a $100,000 house or duplex that's worth buying.
Yeah.
They're there, but you got to make a decision as to is it the right place. And
they get snapped up quick. Like there's so much technology has made it so that, people from anywhere in the world can look at the Indianapolis real estate market. And sometimes that's, that it's the two-edged sword of the attention that this market has received. Because back in the, the early days of us working together, there was still felt like plenty going on in other real estate investment activity, but compared to now, like crazy. It was, you were kind of out there alone. It was like you were playing alone in the sandbox, like to just be like, which of these properties do I want to buy?
Right. Well, now, in fact, I know this for a fact. I mean, there's a lot of California money here.
Oh yeah.
Right. So, I mean, if you live in California, I spent a lot of time there. You can't afford to buy a house.
Yeah.
So why not take that money and buy in a market, whether it's Indianapolis or Cincinnati or Cleveland, right? Why not just take that money that, I'm not spending in California and buy real estate here?
Yeah.
And what happens is, and you know this better than anybody, is it all of a sudden takes a guy like me out of the bidding range, because if I'm willing to pay 100, a guy in California is willing to pay 125 because he doesn't know the market as well as I do, and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and they're also creating the market for the future.
No question. I mean, absolutely. And so I think I'm not going to say it's hurt the Indianapolis market, because it hasn't. It's made it more difficult for buyers like me, who I like a deal. I mean, anybody does business with me knows that I'm never going to pay more than I should for a place. But to my advantage, it's served me well over the last 7 years.
Sure.
I passed, again, I mean, I own 2 properties 3 doors away from each other. The property next door to me came available, and, the guy wanted 120, and I said, I'll give you 100 and I'll pay, 7 days. And they said no. And, next thing it sold for 110. Well, I probably would have paid 110, but I wasn't giving that, so that kind of bites me, as well, because I paid 100 for the house next door, so I want to pay 100 for this house, And
it's pretty frustrating how fast all that happens now.
It was within a day.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
Which nobody as a buyer, being an investor, like, you don't want to feel pressured.
Right.
Right.
But I'm also like, I know for a fact when I find a deal, I'm willing to do it. But, I think because of how I started, I'm a bit stubborn from the standpoint of it. This is, and this, I mean, look, the 2 places we bought in Moreland, that took a month to close, because I was set on my number and he was set on his number. And then eventually you called me and said, okay, he's set on closer to your number, and we did it.
Yeah.
But, and again, I've done well from that standpoint, because I think I know what the market for me, maybe not what the true market is, but what the value for me is. And so, and I tend to kind of stay in my lane when I do that. And as we kind of talked about earlier, there's people that don't love doing business with me because, I should learn to pay more. Well, it's not your money, so
There's something I really like about that, because I'll tell you, that doesn't make you cheap.
No,
right?
I'm not cheap.
And I think there's an important distinction in that, because I've over the years I've dealt with hundreds of negotiation scenarios, and a very common buyer attitude is, what's the asking price? 80% of that.
Right, sure.
And that's an attitude that I get a lot of people, from out of state and out of the country that always want to do that.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what they're asking on the MLS, 80%,
right,
or 70%.
Yep.
And I kind of look at that and I'm like, that means that you're showing the seller you don't know the market.
Sure.
You're at the very least, you're showing me,
yep,
as your agent, that you don't know what you actually want to pay for this property.
Yep.
So the advice I always give new investors is, I have this spreadsheet analysis tool.
Yep.
You should run this. You should run your pro forma on at least 10 deals, on the 10 prospective deals.
Sure.
Plug in the rent, plug in the, what you're going to spend roughly. And so you're going to produce a cash on cash return and a 5-year equity growth projection for 10 different deals before you offer on anything.
Yep.
Because what that's going to do is it's going to educate you on what is possible in the market.
Yep.
And your expectation should be at least somewhere in the realm of what is possible. And if it's not, it's not the right market.
Exactly.
You know, like find go to Terre Haute, find another thing. But so what I like about like yours is different in that, hey, I know that this is the number I want to pay for this property, and I'm just gonna stick to it.
Right.
I like that so much more than I'll get people that are like, hey, I'm willing to pay 90, but let's offer 70.
Yeah.
And then, because I know they'll come down and I'm like, okay.
But if I start at 90, I'll never come down.
Exactly. If you start it, then that's going to come across to the seller like a non-starter because they now that they're afraid to go under contract with you because you still have your due diligence period. Like, what are you going to try to do to them then? So it's such a better negotiation tactic to say, here's my number. Yeah. And then when they counter you, say, here's my number again. Like that's better. It's better to just.
I mean, I'll tell you though, I think like probably the best properties I've ever bought are when I wasn't looking. Yeah. I mean, somebody brought me a deal and said, you got to look at this deal. It's X. Yeah. And I don't know. There's something about me not, it's something about just a deal being put in front of me of somebody that wants to really sell. Those have tended to go, even again, going back to the Moreland, like, it took me a month, but I wasn't looking. I didn't need to buy it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those deals when you don't need to buy something, you tend to get a really good opportunity.
Yeah.
And as long as the people you're dealing with, and I don't do it in an arrogant way. I just do it about like, I don't need it. So if but here's my number. And if they want to, then call me.
Yeah.
And those have turned out to be, the Kenwood deal was a perfect example. I mean, like it was December 22nd or something. And they wanted to close in 5 days.
Yeah.
And honestly, I may have been the only guy that would be stupid enough to buy a house in 5 days. I was in Florida, never even look at it,
Yeah.
I never even did a drive-by. But I was like, here's my, they wanted 40,000 or something. I'm like, well, okay, great. Good for them.
Yeah. Works out. Yeah.
But again, you're talking about 6 years ago and the market just, it's just not the same.
You can check out our full library of episodes wherever you get your podcasts.